Good morning in Oldish land. How are you today? I'm so happy to have you join us today. My name is Karen Brown. I'm the publisher and editor of the Oldish, and I'm here in southwestern Ontario where it's kind of snowy. I think winter doesn't really want to let go, but it will. It mustn't it? The Orioles are still singing in my backyard. The robins are there. I hope you're all having a good week. This week on the Oldish, we're going to talk about some of the stories we published. We're going to talk about colonoscopies, that thing nobody talks about, as part of our celebration of Colorectal Cancer Month. And we're going to talk about what's going on in the world of the Oldish. There's some really interesting stuff, so stay with us. So this week on the Oldish, we published a really interesting article about virtually doing that, right? Well, some of the older kids are getting cool too. There's a company that has developed an app that is producing virtual reality events from back in the day that were important to the seniors in the UK. So the Queen's coronation is the first one that they produced. And it has been so successful in obtaining engagement from dementia patients. They're thrilled, and they're going to do more of these. Yes, I say more of them because these are actors who wear period costumes, sing songs, use language of the day, and tell stories that would have surrounded whatever the event is that they're describing. They look through these virtual reality. There's a board box, and there's something else that's used as well. So this virtual reality piece could very well take dementia patients by storm, and they could become the cool kids too. Another article was about stick-on sensors that are helping with stroke recovery patients. So it sticks onto the neck, can be hidden by a collared shirt, but it constantly monitors things like breathing, swallowing, and vital signs like heart rate. This information is continuously streamed to an app, which is monitored by healthcare providers. And what they do, as they're watching, is adjust the recovery plan based on how quickly goals are being met or not being met. It's kind of interesting, eh? Uber is working with healthcare providers to get them to their appointments on time. No, you don't have to have an app. The healthcare providers do all the booking, and it has been so successful that it is helping to get patients to their appointments, reducing no-shows by 30%. Now, this would be a really interesting thing for seniors to make use of because they don't have to think about how they're going to get places for their medical appointments. They don't have to bother their adult children to take days off of work to take them to appointments. They just simply hop in the Uber that arrives at their door. On our End of Life channel, we published something of a disheartening and very sad article about patients who are receiving unnecessary treatments at their end of life, not because they ask for it, but because their loved ones aren't ready to let them go. So they are demanding drugs and other treatments which are in opposition to the peaceful, pain-free death that most terminal patients ask for. This is a really good reason why you should talk to your healthcare providers, but also your families, and make sure that your wishes are known in case that's ever you in that position. You certainly want people to understand what your wishes are, particularly at your end of life, when you may not have the voice or the strength to advocate for yourself. Would you wear a fall detection bracelet that let someone of your choosing know that you had fallen, even if you were unconscious? Well, there's a company in the States called Notify that hopes that you would. They're getting ready to sell their bracelets for $299 US. No monthly fees, no added cost. The battery needs charging, I believe it's every 12 hours or so. And you can read about these bracelets on the Oldish. And no, Notify did not pay us anything to publish that. Fallen injury prevention is just such an important thing in our world that we want to make sure you're up to date on all the latest trends in technology. Okay, let's talk about colorectal cancer. March is Colorectal Cancer Month, and it's a topic that has a yuck factor attached to it. So we're going to talk about it. Colorectal cancer, unlike many others, is an entirely preventable cancer. And according to the 2018 statistics, something like 550,000 people in the US and 9,400 people in Canada are expected to die from this disease. What you need to keep an eye out for are all kinds of things that you should be keeping an eye out for anyway. Symptoms like diarrhea, constipation, a stool that doesn't look normal, blood in your stool certainly, pain, discomfort in the rectum, fatigue, weakness, nausea, vomiting, loss of appetite, weight loss. As I say, these are all symptoms that you should be looking out for anyway, but they are key symptoms in diagnosing colorectal cancer. My doctor here uses a smear test, so that's very non-invasive. That is something that is an at-home kit. You do it in the privacy of your own bathroom. You take smears of bowel movements over a course of 3 days, and then you pop it in the mail. Easy peasy. And more importantly, private. When the results come back, if they're good, you wait a year and repeat. If they're not, the doctor may recommend something else as a next step. That next step may well be a colonoscopy. Now, this is something a lot of people go, oh, they don't really know what happens. They're scared of it. Let's take the fear out a little bit. Much has been made about it. First of all of that fluid you have to consume. It's not supposed to taste very good. And that's fine. But it's designed to clean you out. Before the itself, some people have the option to choose not to have anesthesia. What they use is a colonoscope, which is a flexible tube. It has a light and a lens, a little camera on the end, and it also has the ability to take biopsies when needed. Whack off those polyps. It's inserted into the anus after a rectal exam has been done to make sure everything's okay on the exterior, and it's maneuvered through to the colon. Along the way, the doctor examines the tissues for abnormalities. And there is a gas that's used as well to sort of expand the area that they're looking into. It can cause a little bit of discomfort, but not much. It's manageable. Recently, a friend of mine, Dr. Mel Ona, who is a gastroenterologist practicing a colonoscopy. This is what he does for a living. So he did taking the liquid to prepare for the colonoscopy. It was ever so interesting. He showed us this giant jug, which he had mixed with really cold water, and he said he thinks the trick is to mix it with really cold water. Some people mix a little bit of flavoring in with it, but he's not so sure that that's necessary. What he did was he drank half of the jug that night while we were on the Facebook Live, and so that was about 7 o'clock his time. They're 4 hours behind us, about 7 o'clock in the evening his time. And then he was going to wake up around 2:30 in the morning his time and drink the other half. That's apparently the approved procedure. As he did this Facebook Live, though, he was taking us on a tour of his porch and showing us views of Hawaii. It was absolutely gorgeous. While the conversation was going on, because of course you can have a conversation on Facebook Live, I kind of egged him on a bit and said, why don't you Facebook Live the colonoscopy? And he thought about it for a minute and he said, I think I could. So there are privacy laws called HIPAA that are in effect in Canada and in the US. So that is the reason why you don't normally see a lot of Facebook Live events that have to do with medical things, because it's not legal. The only other time I remember seeing a live colonoscopy was when Katie Couric did it. Now, you may remember that Katie Couric's husband, her first husband, Jay, died from colorectal cancer. And in order to take some of the fear away from people, she has become an avid crusader for colonoscopies and all kinds of things that can keep you aware of the symptoms of colorectal cancer. But one of the things she did when she was still working as an anchor on the Today Show was a live colonoscopy. So this is exactly what Mel did. He actually did it. He didn't use anesthesia, and he took us through the entire procedure. Because he is a gastroenterologist, he was able to describe for us exactly what was happening and exactly what the doctor was looking for. It was fascinating. The entire procedure was 20, 23 minutes, something like that. And after it was over, I asked him if he would allow me to share that Facebook Live video on our Facebook page. He very graciously allowed us to do so because he understands that it demystifies the entire process. So on our Facebook page, the Oldish's Facebook page, go back to a post that we did on February 26th, 2018. And you can watch the entire procedure. Don't worry, it's R-rated, or if it's not R-rated, you won't see anything you shouldn't. But it is fascinating. It is incredibly fascinating. And I feel that by watching that procedure, you might very well choose to go through it without any sedatives, without any anesthesia. After all, it is the anesthesia that takes us so long to get over. It's not the procedure. That's pretty easy. Yes, he displayed a little bit of discomfort a couple of times, but he told us why, and it was short-lived. So I really feel that this is a great way in the privacy of your own home to take a look at exactly what a colonoscopy is and help yourself not be one of the statistics. Do that when you have a minute. Okay, around the world with the Oldish. Have you heard about those twerking Russian seniors? If you haven't, Google them. When you're done here, Google twerking Russian seniors. 2 senior women have become famous for bumping, grinding, and twerking their way through a very rundown Russian communal flat. It's about 160 square feet of living space. Yes, you heard me, 160 square feet of living space that these 2 women share. It has a bed and a very tiny kitchen. The toilet is shared with other apartments. The video that they did was a parody to show solidarity with a group of young elite fighter pilot cadets who had done a video of themselves in their underwear dancing around their barracks. And apparently, it embarrassed the government and the school so much that they got expelled from their school. These ladies said, however, that if Putin can walk around without a shirt, we should cut these boys some slack. I guess a lot of other people did parody videos of that event in Russia, and those videos embarrassed the government even more. And I understand that the cadets have been reinstated in their school. The seniors, however, did draw attention to the squalid living conditions of their communal flat. And despite their age, the fact to live there, that the embarrassment of that is going to bring to an end Putin's reign on the elections, which are scheduled to take place March the 18th. However, the ladies have become heroes at the factory where they work. Good to know that they got a standing ovation when they walked into work the day after the video went viral. So Google that. You can Google the Russian fighter pilots as well. I watched that video. Again, it's not R-rated. You'll be able to watch that with no problem. And these ladies, really, it's amusing, but it gives you a good look inside how some people in Russia have to live. We are very grateful for all of the amenities that we have, for sure. 82-year-old Masako Wakameya, a retired banker in Japan, has become a rock star for her development of an app, an iPhone game app that is directed at seniors. She had no idea how to make an app, but she learned and she did it anyway. Her goal was and remains stressing the importance of information and community technology to seniors and to encourage them to reach out via the internet so that they aren't so socially isolated. Her efforts got her an invitation to Apple's annual software development conference, where CEO Tim Cook, of all people, introduced her to the 5,300 attendees, along with one of the youngest iPhone app developers, 10-year-old Yuma Sorianto from Australia. While she was at the conference, Ms. Wakameya had the chance to talk with Apple CEO Cook about developing better smartphones for seniors, because she said seniors have a difficult time hearing and seeing the apps on the phones as they are now. Good for you. Good for you. Okay, so coming up on the Oldish, we have nailed down our visit with OPP Constable Jamie Stanley. He's going to come in studio and he's going to talk with us about scams that mostly target seniors. So we'll give you lots of notice, but that's June 27th. Mark your calendar. Ask your questions. If any scams come up and you want to ask Constable Stanley about them, please feel free to do that. And as always, please look us up at www.theoldish.com, like and share our Facebook page, and stay up to date on what's going on with the Oldish. Until next Wednesday at noon, I will say goodbye to you, and I will remind you that it does in fact take a village to age a senior. Bye, everyone.